When you think of Teletubbies, you probably imagine bright colors, strange creatures, and a laughing baby sun shining down on peaceful hills. But what if I told you that behind all that innocent laughter, there's something much darker? Something that was never meant for children to understand. Something that hides in plain sight. This is the theory called the sun woke up, an idea that has spread across the internet like wildfire, after YouTuber Alex Bale shared his interpretation of what might really be happening in Teletubbyland. And it's not what it seems. The more you look, the more unsettling it becomes. At first glance, the Teletubbies world looks safe. Green grass, blue skies, and 4 soft, colorful beings who dance and play. But when you start paying attention, you realize that their world is too perfect, too controlled, too repetitive. It feels like a place where time never moves forward. There is no night, there is no weather, there is no one else. Only these 4 beings repeating the same tasks over and over, being watched by something above them, the sun, with the face of a baby, laughing, watching, always there. The question is, who is this baby, and why is it trapped inside the sun? Alex Bale's theory suggests that the baby isn't just decoration or a symbol of happiness, but a real consciousness, a living entity that is aware, but trapped, forced to watch this endless cycle below. The phrase, "the sun woke up," doesn't mean the sun is rising. It means the baby inside the sun has become self-aware. It has realized it is not just a background element, but the observer, the camera, the one who sees everything. Now, imagine this. The Teletubbies aren't real creatures. They are experiments, created to test emotional responses, maybe part of a psychological experiment on early learning. Each one of them has an antenna, shaped differently, maybe to receive different types of signals, maybe to transmit information back to the observer. They live inside a dome-like house, with metal walls and strange robotic machines. There's the voice that speaks from nowhere, giving them orders, telling them when to eat, when to sleep, when to play. They follow without question, because that's all they know. Does that sound familiar? It should, because that's how most of us start our lives. Being taught what to do, what to like, what to say, how to act, repetition, patterns, control. The Teletubbies could represent the earliest stage of conditioning, pure innocence inside a controlled simulation, programmed to repeat joy and comfort, again and again, until it becomes meaningless. The theory takes a strange turn when we start thinking about the environment itself. The landscape is artificial. The hills look like they were built. The grass is too smooth. The sky never changes. The colors are oversaturated, not natural at all, and there's no sun movement. The light is constant, almost like a spotlight, a simulation. The world might not even be real. It could be an enclosed testing ground. Some say a post-apocalyptic dome where the outside world no longer exists, and humanity has built these creatures as an experiment to preserve happiness. The baby sun, in this version, could be the last remnant of human consciousness. A human child uploaded into an artificial world, forced to observe this experiment forever, and every laugh we hear is not laughter, but the sound of the child trying to communicate, trying to wake up. Now let's think about the behavior of the Teletubbies. They speak in baby language, half words, strange sounds, a mix between human and machine. They show joy when their actions are approved, and confusion when something new happens. They celebrate small, repetitive actions, like pressing a button, eating custard, watching the same videos over and over. It's like their emotions are being tested or programmed. And then, there's that unsettling vacuum cleaner, Noo-Noo. It moves on its own, cleaning up everything the Teletubbies leave behind, almost like it's maintaining the environment, keeping it stable, erasing evidence. But what happens when the sun wakes up? When the observer, the baby, realizes the truth, that this world isn't real, that the happiness is forced, that the laughter isn't genuine. The theory says the moment the sun wakes up, everything starts to break down, the illusion starts to collapse, the bright colors begin to fade, the repetition begins to glitch, the laughter turns into echoes, and the Teletubbies start to act differently, slower, more aware, more confused, as if they too can feel that something isn't right. This could explain the strange unease some people feel when watching old episodes of Teletubbies, especially as adults. You might not notice it as a child, but when you watch it now, the pacing, the emptiness, the constant sounds, it feels almost hypnotic, like it's training you to think a certain way, to feel comfort in monotony, to obey the rhythm. Some versions of the theory even connect Teletubbyland to purgatory, a space between life and death, where souls are stuck in a cycle of innocence, unable to grow or escape. The sun in this idea is a guardian, watching over these souls, keeping them safe, but also keeping them trapped. It smiles, it laughs, but it never stops watching. Now, here's something truly disturbing. Alex Bale points out that the baby in the sun changes between seasons, meaning the observer might not always be the same. What if each new baby represents a new consciousness being trapped, replaced like a cycle? One wakes up, realizes the truth and is removed, and another is put in its place, forced to start again. That's why the theory is called the sun woke up, because every time one awakens, the system resets. This isn't just a theory about a kid's show. It's about us. It's about how humans are conditioned from birth. From the moment we open our eyes, we are fed bright colors, smiling faces, positive repetition, designed to make us behave, designed to make us think that comfort means safety. But behind that comfort, there is control. Think about how many shows use similar patterns, bright colors, repetitive sounds, friendly voices. They're not just entertaining, they're shaping how we think, how we react, how we understand the world. The Teletubbies might just be the most extreme visual metaphor for that, a simulation of innocence, built to show us how we're trained from day one. And maybe the reason the sun has a baby's face is to remind us that we all start as the observer. We are born, we watch, we learn, we're told what's good and bad. We are the baby in the sun, observing a fake world that we think is real, until one day, we wake up. When the sun wakes up, it sees everything differently. The hills aren't real, the laughter is hollow, the world is just a stage, and the characters are just programs, but it can't escape. It can only watch. And that's the horror of this theory. It's not about monsters or jump scares. It's about awareness, about waking up in a world that isn't real, and realizing you were never in control. If we go deeper, some fans link this to the idea of a post-human world, where after humanity's extinction, machines try to recreate the feeling of happiness. They build these creatures, they project an eternal sun, they loop joy forever, but without true emotion, just simulation. The baby in the sun could be the digital memory of a human child, uploaded before the end, left to watch over a world that can never change. Others believe the sun represents God or a higher consciousness, something divine but detached, watching creation repeat itself, testing it, learning from it. The Teletubbies could be symbols of human emotion, Tinky Winky as fear, Dipsy as curiosity, Lala as joy, Po as innocence. Together they form a cycle of human behavior, repeating endlessly under the gaze of the creator. And yet there's something deeply sad about it. They never age, they never question, they never leave. They laugh, they play, they eat, and when they're done, they go back into their home and do it again tomorrow. The sun rises, the sun laughs, the sun watches forever. When you hear the phrase, "the sun woke up," it feels hopeful, like an awakening. But in this context, it's terrifying, because awakening means awareness, and awareness means pain. When you wake up in a dream, you realize it isn't real. When the sun wakes up, it realizes it's trapped inside a simulation. It can never escape, forced to watch the same fake happiness forever. And maybe, just maybe, that's why the laughter in the show feels off. If you listen closely, the baby's giggle sometimes sounds echoed, stretched, almost distorted, not like a real laugh. More like a recording. It could be a cry for help hidden under the sound of joy, a desperate attempt to be heard, but the system interprets it as laughter. The deeper you go, the darker it gets. The more you try to understand Teletubbyland, the less sense it makes. And that's exactly the point. The show was never meant to make sense. It was meant to feel safe, and by feeling safe, we never question it. The same way most people live, unaware of the illusion, until something makes them wake up. So what happens when we wake up? When we realize the world isn't as simple as we were taught, that happiness isn't constant, that darkness exists, that's when the sun wakes up in all of us. We stop laughing just because we're told to. We start seeing beyond the surface, and that's when the illusion starts to break. Maybe that's the real meaning of Alex Bale's theory. It's not just about a creepy children's show. It's about human awakening, about realizing that life isn't supposed to be an endless loop of forced positivity. It's supposed to be unpredictable, messy, real. And when the sun wakes up, it doesn't smile anymore. It starts to cry, because it finally understands. So next time you see the Teletubbies and the baby sun starts to giggle, remember this theory and think about what it means. Is the baby laughing because it's happy? Or because it doesn't know any other way to express pain? Is the world of Teletubbies a paradise or a prison? Is the sun a symbol of joy or a god trapped inside its own creation? The truth is, we might never know, but one thing's certain. Once the sun wakes up, nothing is ever the same again.